Welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm interviewing Trevor Fortner. He's part of the Everyday Spy, and today we are going to discuss a lot of things his background and also what he thinks about the terror attempt to Donald Trump and so many other topics. Stay tuned, enjoy the podcast, and I'll see you guys later. Oh, by the way, before you go, please hit the like and subscribe and share this channel to everyone to see. Thank you for your support. We really appreciate it. Let's get back to the show. All right, Trevor, thank you for being here today. I almost didn't find you on my software. I got like four different uh, studios, and I was like, man, I'm waiting for him, and he's not here. Let me go back and try everyone, and I found you. You were here before I did,
Double check
so
this as well too.
I know. So, all right, Trevor, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here today. Can you please kind of give us like summarize a snapshot of your life, like in 2 minutes,
Oh
and
man,
who you are, and kind of your progression till today.
yeah. So I grew up in Indiana, graduated high school there, ended up joining the military. Spent 12 years with the military in the Navy. Some of that was spent in the EOD Special Operations community. The war in Iraq in early 2000s was kicking off, and I had an opportunity to work with contract companies. I ended up taking that, did that for a couple of years, and then that kind of just evolved into working for a government agency, that Defense Threat Reduction Agency. And then through that, just networking with various people that I'd worked with, I ended up taking a job over in Abu Dhabi supporting the United Arab Emirates Presidential Guard. And now I work for an aerospace defense company. So it's not really a traditional pipeline of a career field, like checking all the boxes and continuously rising through the ranks. Even though I checked boxes and rose through various ranks, it's kind of a hodgepodge of career, still evolved around national protection and patriotism and teaching, but it's not a linear path that somebody would normally expect to see.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I was watching one of your interviews with Andrew, and it seemed interesting that you kind of like you choose a career path and then you jump to another one that is kind of totally unrelated to the other one. So it's most likely most of the people that I know. I interview a lot of people in this podcast, like Kawa Malahi and Sean Day, the half brother of Mike Day. I have him on my studio a couple times, and their career pretty much kind of stay like linear and in the same path. Like they either do contracting or they do consulting after the fact they serve. But you kind of jump around and you use a couple of techniques or
Mhm.
skills to kind of like to grab the other skills, and that's very interesting. Kind of tells your versatility and kind of adapt to different aspects of your new path, new career.
Up
The
until,
question,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I'd say up until about 7 years ago, when I started working for a corporation, $1 billion corporation, aeros defense company, all the jobs before that revolved around national security and some host nations' national security. A lot of advising and consulting and supporting operations as a
Mm,
mentor. So that even though they're different names, different countries, the basic tactical skill sets and mindset still applied. The difference of working for the corporation was I essentially took a job that I knew a person there and I knew the US customer from SOCOM, Special Operations Command, that they were supporting. And it wasn't really the job that I wanted. It was just something that I networked myself into. I knew who the customer was, I knew what their capabilities and limitations were, and the defense company was developing products for them. And so I could kind of be the intermediary between the military side of it and the corporate side of it. And that got me involved in 7 years of corporate work.
wow, yeah, it is. That's very interesting because a lot of people don't like a lot of civilians, like you being in the military, and I was too. A lot of civilians do have the technical aspects of security, like they know probably the technology side, and but they don't know the actual experience, what works and what do not work.
Yeah.
And that's when you come around and kind of like bridge the gap between you, kind of that bridge, that liaison, that kind of like, hey, we tried that didn't work, let's do this right, whatever, and consulting. And that kind of helps a lot because they kind of, it's like a architecture, like an engineer. They, if
Mhm.
they never been in the field, they will never understand what is going on. And
I'm going through that this morning, actually. I've got some engineers that designed, we'll call it an instrumentation plan, put a lot
Mhm.
of instruments on a weapon system to capture data. They presented their slides, and I'm like, wow, that's phenomenal, except you've never left your desk. And I don't mean that rudely. You don't have field experience. Let me bring you to the lab and show you the physical item, not on a CAD model drawing, but now show me how your design, your plan is going to work with the actual physical hardware. And they're flabbergasted by it and just go, wow, I never thought that far forward. And we see that, general men that work in the garage on their cars, they see it all the time. They're taking a piece off and they go, man, some engineering at a computer designed this. They never physically put their hands on it because you can't get the tool there. Right.
Right.
So I see it every week in the corporation world or in the engineering world, and that's a gap that I'm trying to bridge with particularly young engineers out of college, is to be able to utilize my background and experience in the field of operations on how to apply it to engineering. You're still designing something, whether it's a car or a weapon system or a GUI application. There's a definite gap from the concepts and ideas to how an individual is actually going to utilize that product. And that's what really got me into this company, is to bridge that gap.
Man, that's amazing. And I hope you continue to kind of develop the stuff that actually works in real life, and not like novelties. I'll call it novelties to not
Yeah.
call them the other word, but sometimes it looks good on paper, but when you put it into practice, it just like uh,
There's so
kind of
much
like paperweight.
there's so much of that. One of the courses we're developing is about preparedness, emergency and disaster preparedness. You can go to the government websites, FEMA. There's thousands of books and thousands of YouTube channels of preppers telling you the same information. But what we focus on are all the decisions that lead up to that event, and then you making decisions before the event occurs, so that when you're actually in the midst of it, you're not finding yourself reacting. And that's something like, we can talk about that third assassin or potential third assassination attempt with Trump. Is we saw a lot of reacting initially
Mm.
there, as opposed to the due diligence of decision making before the threat actually occurs.
Yeah, let's just jump into it because when I saw the video of the perpetrator, he basically was like kind of roaming around, walking around the building, and kind of like rush into it like a football move, like just like running
100%.
through every, like right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And they were just standing out there like with their hands in the pockets, just like a
Mhm.
gaggle F, just chilling,
You can
just
call
like,
it
like I would call it a gaggle fuck, but it's just like they just were just chilling, having a good time. The event started, it's been a couple minutes, whatever case may be, and everybody's having a good time in the ballroom, and they just like kind of like the guard down. I would say it was not probably an SOP failure, but most likely an operator failure because
again.
they were not like just
There's
pretending
a
to put security. They just standing there.
Yeah, there was a few observations that I made, and got to understand the context. I've only seen the videos that everybody else
Right,
can see on the internet. There's not a lot of audio of those individuals. If we're particularly talking about the what we call ECP, entry control point or entry check point, where the metal detectors are, and you had the one agent resting his hand on that travel container. There's three individuals leaning up against the
right.
wall, just like you said, just freaking gaggling around. That is a failure of leadership and professionalism. Like when you post a security detail, you should be able to walk into that hotel or be in the presence of the outside of the hotel and feel an energy change of business. Like this
Mm,
isn't, we can still have fun, we can joke, the ballroom can have their thing, but When I ran the ambassador security detail, we stood around and we kept our facial expressions how they needed to be in front of cameras and in front of other dignitaries, but our posture was always professionalism. If I would have seen people leaning up against the wall, one, you'd have been pre-briefed, it's not allowed. And number two, we would have had some dry run practices. And number three, when I would have physically saw it, get off the wall, stand your position, and face outward. Like this is real. We're not just lollygagging around until the event occurs. We're here to prevent it from happening. So we can back up to where you saw that individual roaming the hotel. And I slowed down a couple of videos and just watched the way he walked. There's I won't say arrogance about it. It could have been an uncomfortable walk for him, nervous walk, but his mannerism of walking is not a normal baseline behavior. It may be for that individual, but I don't know that individual. So you have to, that's going to should catch your attention for a split second to where somebody could just stop him. He walked into the gym. It took him multiple seconds to go through his wallet to get a card to open that door. And then who actually turns around and grabs the door and closes it like that? The door closed by itself, but he turned and checked the door because he was buying himself time. Or my assessment is he was buying himself time. He stood there in plain clothes, not gym clothes, and checked it out the area. Like some people will do it. When I get to a hotel, I might poke my head in and see what equipment's available. But if there's a staff member there, that staff member should have been like, hey, sir, how are you doing? What's your room number? Maybe he had a room number. He had a small interaction with her. It's not on audio what they said, or at least it's not released what they said. But he was there a couple of times. He walked up and down the hallway, no luggage. His behavior of walking was a little bit odd, pattern recognition. But the real concern is when he walked in that door in front of the metal detectors, he walked into a door that was not controlled and not secured. Maybe it was a few minutes before that, but it wasn't on the video that was showed. He had access to that door. The door shut. A canine officer actually walked up to that door with his canine dog, turned around and walked away, and immediately that guy came out. I don't know if the guy was waiting and knew they were there, or it just was a coincidence. They turned their back and that guy came out. That there is a failure of layered security system. Like you don't just start at that metal detector. We set up barriers. You see it at the airport, all the barriers that channel people in. We set up similar barriers. Some of them are physically in place so that you can't move them. Others are just cables. Because if somebody penetrates that cable, that's an early awareness for me. It provides me time to assess and make a decision, as opposed to what we saw in that video. They reacted. And that first officer that drew his weapon, man, he reacted right away when he saw the long gun. What I don't know, because I don't have the audio, is whether or not he said a verbal communication. And that's a really professional thing. It's not just somebody pulling their weapon and addressing a threat. It's also the simultaneous verbal communication with everyone else, which doesn't appear to happen because other people were reacting in an odd manner, or not the right manner, I should say. And then the next obvious thing was everyone turned to that gunman, and that entry control checkpoint collapsed. The security collapsed. Like one of the things that professionals do, cops and military, that they have to do, and they don't all do it, is if that man penetrated, my SOP is going to say there's going to be a certain amount of people that will address that threat. And it's not necessarily going to be you. It's going to be the first people that start to address it and that are closest to it. And as soon as I recognize that you're paying attention and addressing that, I'm going to turn and cover down on that checkpoint. If you would have waited about 5 seconds and had 5 more individuals come around that corner with automatic weapons, every one of those agents would be dead because they're all focused on the threat. And I get it, like it's a human reaction to focus on that threat, but a disciplined professional has to work through that, trust that their team's doing their responsibility, and they have a responsibility to maintain that checkpoint. And based off that one single video, it looks like that did not happen.
Yeah, The question that I have is why I was not there. Should it be prudent to have security details manning the actual cameras of the hotel and communicating with the and the people on the ground, telling them like, "Hey, owner, can you stop and verify who he is before he getting closer to the actual metal detector?" And
Yeah.
if somebody was in the camera, why they didn't react sooner and basically allow to that guy just walk into the front door and kind of rush in.
Yeah, there's a few, well, in our procedures that are standard is that anybody in that hotel, and I know it's a public venue as well, but we would go out and give people certain pins or certain lanyards that if you're a guest, welcome. We have an event going on. I'm going to need you to wear this around your neck while you're on property. When you get off property, please take it off. That way we can identify them. It doesn't mean somebody can't steal one, but it's an additional layer of recognition. And anybody that doesn't, pattern recognition automatically stands out and gets addressed. And then for sure, the local hotel security room, I'm I'm assessing that Secret Service followed their SOPs and they would have had their own personnel manning that as well. And they would have all those feeds out to their own command center. And so you would have had two teams, the hotel
Right.
security team monitoring normally with oversight of a special agent. And then they would have their own command center piped into all the videos in that hotel and the surrounding area.
Yeah, it is. It is dangerous. It is very concerning that that guy got close enough, and I was glad to just to know that they're away. But as you well
Hmm.
said, just imagine if it were a group of four, five gunmen
Yeah.
basically rushing from different angles. It would be a total disaster having all those basically the chain of command in because you have the president, you had the secretary of defense, you have the vice president, and then you have the FBI, head of the FBI. You have a lot of people, important people there,
Very important.
and it would be a total disaster.
Yeah, absolutely. It's it definitely highlights the need for an assessment of their current SOP and their current training. And it's not particularly, I really despise it when people start picking on cops or Secret Service agents because they're just like you and I. They have a job, they're doing the
Mhm.
job that they've been trained to do. And that's where an issue becomes is what training have they had? Is it just, hey, buddy, looks like it dropped off for a second.
Yeah, yeah. Hold on, give me a second. Internet is there. We go. You're back. I hope this. Yeah, it will record fine. They just like the internet's kind of laggy a little bit sometimes. It didn't happen last time I was here with Trenton. So let's see if we. I guess we good to go now. Go ahead, sir.
Well, both of us out in the boondocks, both of our internet's probably a little slow. Yeah. So what I was saying
Yeah,
was,
it is.
it's not good to pick on Secret Service or police or a particular individual. We really got to go back and look at their training and if that training was adequate or not, and if they've been pressure tested over multiple scenarios with increasing pressure and decision making responsibilities in order to be accepted onto that detail. And that's something that with Blackwater, we recruited from within Blackwater. We recruited already vetted personnel to come onto the ambassador security detection detail. Obviously, everybody needs the tactical skill sets, but we really looked at the mentality of people, their calmness, their ability to remain calm under stressful situations. And I think with I don't even like saying this, but the current generation, because it's such a broad statement, is that they've not been pressure tested. They went to college, they've gotten degrees, they've got a little bit of training, not sufficient training, And then you're putting these young agents into a position of extreme responsibility that while they may find it prestigious, you're most likely not qualified for that position. And it's nothing rude about the people. They just don't have the experience yet to hold those positions. And so we have to do a better job at training people, holding the training and the personnel accountable and taking ownership in their professionalism, and then highlighting those people that do and putting them in those positions.
Wouldn't you, let's say you're the head of the Secret Service, wouldn't you kind of reassess the situation after the first mm, attempt to Donald Trump and basically restructure everything? Because that's what I would do. I would just like let me erase everything on the board and start from the ground up, because obviously the first second time that didn't work, and now we have a third time, and the response is getting slower and slower, slower every time.
Yeah,
How we can, like, from looking outside in, how can we fix that?
I mean, honestly, there's so many things that have to happen in parallel. One of the initial things I would do, and I'm saying this for the first time out loud, so I'm going to pressure test it with you, and then I'm going to have to change it a little bit. But if you want to protect the president of the United States of America, you go get SEAL Team 6 and Delta Force operators, and you assign them that mission. And then you get out of their way and let them do their job. They will professionally protect that head of state. Doesn't matter who the physical human being is, they have an ethos that they're going to do the job and they're going to do it extremely well. So, in parallel, you assign a new security detail to him of professionals that are experienced, and you let them run and organize the events and plan the events. And then concurrently, you're going to have to go look at the training pipeline of number one, what it takes to become a special agent, and number two, what it takes to actually get on the presidential or the vice presidential security detail or any other Department of State dignitary detail. And then that training needs to be reviewed by people probably 50 plus years old that have that 3 to 4 decades of experience that can collectively look at it and go, this has historically worked in the past, this is historically not. Each situation might be a little bit different that we need to tailor the plan to, but there's core fundamentals that we've learned over decades of war from thousands of operators that should be utilized to revamp their training pipeline.
You're absolutely right. That was my thought also as well. Couple months ago, and we have not only we have the personnel, we have the technological advantage. We have also the financial advantage that we can take care of it. And plus, since we already paying Delta, Groove, Marsoc, whatever special operation guys, we already got having on the payroll. There is, for me, there is hire a, I would say, a civilian side of things,
Mm-hmm.
because we already have them in the payroll. Save a lot of money. Just reassign the group, have them in the rotation for 6 to probably 7 months, whatever case may be. But I would do that definitely. I would do Delta Force. I would be the inner ring, and the outer ring I would put Marsoc, Def Group, whatever Special Forces group. Just have him in the outer rings, whatever case may be, and you will have competent individual that have done that for the last what 10 to 15 years or even
Mm-hmm.
more, protecting
Yeah.
the president. They know what to do in any situation, from first aid to firefights to to
Mm-hmm.
evacuate, to make sure he's safe. But it is like, going back from my first comment, is I'm kind of worried about what is going on, because every president in history has murder attempt. They try to assassinate every president,
Mm-hmm.
but I never seen the actual, I would say, uh continuous attack on one president itself. You know what I mean? Like, I never seen it like back to back to back in
Three
this, like,
times in a short amount of
three
time on
time.
one person.
Yeah, on one president. It is unheard of. I mean, we have Ronald Reagan. He got probably, he got two times, two times in 8 years where he served. And then we have Bill Clinton have probably like one, probably, but three times in less than year and a half.
Mhm.
Literally less than probably a year. We
Yeah,
had three attempts to his life. Like every 4 months, he had somebody trying to kill him. Like pretty much, it's like it's a quarterly event. Like it
pretty
has
much.
to happen.
Put
But
it on the fiscal budget.
I put it on the fiscal budget. But the question is like, why they have not done that from the get go? Like I would have done it. I would have just like get everybody out, restart from the ground up, and just do it like that, like you were saying. Put special operation guys there. They might look scary. They might look uh
Good.
out of place because they would not look like any of the regular guys. They just like batter hardened individuals. But I'd rather to have them of than a I would not kind of like I would not discredit the agent's abilities, but I would rather to have the guy
Mhm.
in charge and make sure I'm alive. But I don't
Yeah,
know. It is something's going on. The dynamic is very, very sketchy to me.
we're
That
not
they
getting all
just
the
keep
details. Yeah,
yeah, we just like, come on, man. It just like it happens every time, and somebody is getting closer and closer every time they try. They're
yeah,
getting closer. And my next point, and to the next topic that I want to talk about is why is this happening? Like, who is behind it? And in my opinion, and I thought about yesterday, and I expressed this to a couple friends of mine and to my wife, and I told them like they are dragging us to a World War III somehow. They killed Charlie Kirk in broad daylight in front of thousands of people. And now they're trying to kill the president for the third time. They didn't succeed on the third time. But if they succeed to kill the president, and I hope I'm wrong, they will find an excuse to go to war. And that's all they want. It happened 2001. And we later find out there were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. I went there for nothing, pretty much. And now we find this out. Like they want to go to war. I mean, Iran does not have the military capabilities to close the Strait of Hormuz, but yet they say something stupid and they stop the Strait of Hormuz. They don't have the equipment. And I'm thinking, like, since we spent almost 2 months bombing the smithereen out of them, they have no
mhm,
air force, they have no navy, they probably have like a couple drones. If so, and we have A-10s, Apaches, just littering on the border,
yeah.
on the coast, why they still have a stronghold on the Strait of Hormuz? And like, what is the reason why we still in this kind of like, I would say,
Predicament.
between predicament? Like why? And like, and why we need to stay there? Like for me, I would be like, you know what? F them. We just we have the oil. We don't have to go to the
Mhm.
world, everybody had to be on the same price. I'd be like, you know what? F you guys.
Yeah.
We, we know we. I don't
It
know.
it's a man, what a very convoluted topic to talk about, right? Like it's quite simple from military doctrine and tactics from the
Hmm.
age of combat, from the very beginning. If you wanted to shut that country down, number one, I could surround it and just isolate it. You better be able to be self-sufficient, right? Back to emergency and disaster planning. I can go in there and bomb you, ruin your infrastructure, and now you're probably going to be asking me for food and water. So why do they still have that capability? I can't answer the question of why. We can look at Iraq and Afghanistan for 20 years. The question may within the first couple of days, we went in and took Baghdad. But if you look at what we did when Ambassador his name's going to escape me. He was the first, Paul Bremer. Paul Bremer was appointed the first U.S. ambassador to Iraq. And one of the first things that our government did was disband the Iraqi military.
Hmm.
One of the dumbest things you can do. You just took a bunch of trained, skilled, to some level, group of people that were providing national security in some sort of capacity, and you made them jobless. Mate, you got to feed your family. They're going to use the skill sets that they know, right? So, from the initial get go, I don't think rational people make those type of decisions. And so it leads me to ask the question of, is it a setup? Is it just to go make money for somebody else, like to keep us entertained with war, keep us producing weapon systems, keep us as a population actively engaged so other people can make money? And I don't want to say it's that simple, but when individuals like you and I sit down and have a conversation, how do we protect somebody? I say Team Six and Delta Force for that outer security perimeter. Go get a group, a battalion of 18, 19-year-old Marines with a couple of experienced team sergeants. Mate, nobody's getting through your security perimeter. They are
Mm,
trained and brainwashed. Those young men and women, they controlled most of the checkpoints around Iraq. Remember all the checkpoints you would go through? Most of the time, it was a couple of 18, 19-year-old Marine kids that have had a little bit of military indoctrination. But my goodness, you never mess with those kids. They did their job and they did it extremely professional because that's what they were trained to do, and they executed it flawlessly. Fortunately, a lot of them lost their lives with VBIDs and suicide attacks. So we have the knowledge and capability to do these things. The question becomes again, as you said, why don't we do them? Why are, we could ask the question, what does Israel provide to the United States of America or to the world, as in goods and services? Like one of the things Andy talks about a lot is a mutually beneficial relationship that you and your spouse, you and your kids, you and your business partner, as long as the relationship is mutually beneficial, it doesn't have to be one for one. You can earn $1 million, I can earn 10,000. As long as we agree that it's mutually beneficial, then we have an agreement. I don't see, and this is something that Trump's advocated for years about, like being in NATO. Why are we, the United States, funding all these other countries for NATO when we have an agreement that they'll pay a certain percentage and we'll pay? But yet we continue to fund some of them. And that was one of his arguments for getting out of NATO. Why we don't hold ourselves accountable as a nation and just do those things, other people's ulterior motives. Like, are we really aligned as a patriotic country? I don't think so. And
no.
any business is going to have a mission statement or should have a mission statement that aligns people to an allegiance to that mission statement. And if you don't agree with a mission statement, there's another industry for you, there's another job, there's another country for you. And one of the cool things about the United States of America is that it was founded by a bunch of different diverse nationalities coming over and building this country. And so we continue to allow any nationality to come to this country, and you can apply for US citizenship, but you should adopt the principles that make the United States of America the United States of America. And right now, you can look anywhere in any industry. We as a country are not aligned in our national defense and our patriotism to our country first.
Mm,
Then you start protecting everybody else, but you got to
mm.
protect your own country first. And when your president is getting assassination attempts quarterly, that's an issue, my man.
It is. It has been an issue since day one, and they just like keep. I think they keep pushing it back. Like they don't want to protect the president. That's the way I see it. They just like they want somebody to succeed. Plus, we got the propaganda from both sides. I would say the propaganda from both sides.
Oh yeah.
One calling them Nazi, the other one calling them, like crazy liberals, and they just kind of fuel each other to do these crazy things out there, and it's happening more often. And I don't even watch TV anymore. I mean, I don't have like
I,
I
I'm
barely watch Netflix, barely, and always they put some crazy weird stuff they don't announce it on the description, and I just kind of like I would turn it off. I would not say the word, but every time I just it's a great movie, and all of a sudden you see in the background, uh uh two Homo sapiens on the same sex kissing each other. You know what I mean? It's
there's
like
always innuendos going on
yeah, and I'm like I'm done,
commercials
whatever.
with
So
that
it
substance out there.
mhm.
That's what you're indoctrinating your children in, our children in.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
they do that a lot, and the propaganda is real. I never thought about it, but when I look back, I kind of like pull myself out of myself, just like it's, I will look everything objectively, but sometimes I take myself out of my own bias. I just like okay,
Mhm.
let me look it up from. a third person, whatever view,
Different
and
perspective.
yeah, different perspective. And when I look at this stuff, I'd be like, damn, we are being propagandized for everything
Mhm.
from uh, marketing, uh, politics,
Yeah.
like movies, and everything is just like is so charged of propaganda and trying to put each other against each other, and they just like they want to start a fight. Now we're seeing aliens are real, and Jeffrey Epstein list is just getting larger and larger,
Mhm.
and people deny it. Couple hours later, they admitting themselves, I was wrong. They those files really exist, and then
Yeah.
we start a war, and it's like 2002, 2001 repeating all over again. And now the economy is in shambles. 2008, once again, gas is super expensive, interest rate not dropping, people are selling their houses. It's just like everything repeated again. It's just like crazy
It,
out there.
it seems that yeah, I used to joke with people when I was traveling around the world and they'd ask me where I was from, and I would just look at them like dead in the face and go, "I'm from planet Earth." I just
Mhm.
wanted to see what their facial reaction was. And it was always an odd reaction. Like people were like, God, you're a weirdo. I'll be like, why'd you make that face? Like, because I'm from planet Earth. So are you. I'm trying to build this rapport with them that you and I are from the same place. You want to break it down that I was born in America and you were born in the Middle East. Yeah, but we're still from this, we're still humans and we're still from this planet, like this globe, right? So we think NATO tried to align, most of the countries, but why is the human race not aligned with evolution? Like, if you want to
Mm.
build your country and protect yourself and make products and sell them to everybody else and get rich, okay, cool. Does that further our evolution as a race? If not, maybe you should shift focus. Like, we're so busy, as you said, watching sports teams make millions of dollars. I like sports. I like the teamwork. I like the camaraderie. I like the discipline of it. But to pay somebody to dribble a basketball or throw a football, millions of dollars, and then you have your police force, fire department, nurses, military that can barely afford to live, much less buy two cars and have a house. Oh, and by the way, go do dangerous work. Like, we have
Mhm.
a serious problem with human nature and how we treat one another. And all these politicians that say, and all the social media warriors that say, "Oh, we should open up, our borders and we should do X, Y, and Z." Talk to one of them and go, "Hey, my man, you live in a 2,000 square foot home. I would like to bring 20 immigrants into your house, eat your food, use your water, use your car." No, 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 no. Don't come to my house. You can send them over there. They need help, but don't bring them and interrupt me. Okay, well, we have a different conversation then, right? Because you put it on them. And we see this repetition over and over and over. And it's almost to the point where there's going to be a catastrophic event that shocks the world, and either pure chaos or an alignment of the masses to the direction of safety of the human race and the evolution of the human race. If not, we are perpetually going downhill to where our grandparents and great grandparents would go, look at what we built for you guys. And you guys are wasting it away on trying to be an influencer, trying to post likes, and just look at my picture when deep down you're depressed, you have anxiety, you're not happy, but you're getting instant gratification from a photo. Mate, that's a problem in humanity. And when we don't address those simple things, how can we address being drug into the Straits of Hormuz? You're right. Like, if we wanted to open the Straits of Hormuz, we could simply do it within a matter of hours. Why, like you said, 2 months? I think the latest report I read was over 5,000 Tomahawk missiles have been used, not to mention all the other hardware. 5,000 Tomahawk missiles? My man, that should get rid of most countries' complete infrastructure. And yet,
Definitely.
I think there was a issue this morning in the Straits of Hormuz, and you're going, this still happens.
Yeah.
Like, so
I
do we
mean,
really want to finish it, or do we want to drag it on?
that's a question. That's a great question. And I think a lot of people like I was in G Work when it first started. Like I joined 99, got out 2017. So almost 18, 17 years in service. So we went from G Work, like from the beginning, and everything seems to repeat itself. It
Mm.
is, oh, this war is going to take like 2 months, 20 years on it,
Yeah.
20
And,
freaking years.
and then we
And
just,
now they're doing the same thing. Oh, it's going to take 2 weeks. Now
mm,
it's been 2 months and we're still there.
yeah,
And I guarantee you, something like you well said, something will occur, like the death of
yeah.
the president. They're gonna kill somebody just to make an excuse. Like 2001, they killed over 3,000 people,
At the
make an
tower.
excuse to
Yeah.
go to war,
Yeah.
and that's it. Will happen again. It will happen again. They tried to Charlie Kirk. They tried to kill a person who have a lot of influential power
Mm,
with people. They killed him. Nothing happened. What happened after that? They tried to kill Donald Trump right away.
mm,
They tried to rattle the people's feelings to go like either a catastrophe inside the United States or they create something outside the United States that involves us, that drag us over there like the 2001. So it's repeating itself. And I hate it because I see ourselves again fighting another war for 10, 20 years.
mm.
Somebody will become a billionaire and we're gonna lose probably 10, 20,000 lives in the process.
You know, Charlie, I was talking to my mom the other day about Charlie Wilson. I think he was either a congressman or a senator. Decades ago, he released a paper that said if you wanted to not necessarily make Afghanistan a democracy, but if you wanted to change their output, if you will, to the world and their violence, is around the age, I think it was 6, 7, or 8 years old. Anybody that was older than that, you just let them be. Let them go on with their life. They are who they are. They know what they know. But you start indoctrinating, teaching very specific things to a younger generation. And if you do that, it will take a couple of generations to fully see the positive effects of that. And it's a solid plan. They shut them down, and you see what the results are. And it makes me ask the question, whenever I'm tasked at work for something, or you're tasked with, doing this podcast, you have very clearly defined, obtainable, quantifiable objectives. And when those objectives are met, your mission is complete. So if we want them to open the Straits of Hormuz, you design, and sometimes it takes savageness to do this,
Mhm.
your objectives that say, if these objectives are met, then there's no excuse that the straits cannot be open. So therefore, go exercise those objectives and execute them, right? And one of my biggest heartaches, partly the reason that I left contracting work when I did in Iraq, was that there were so many generals talking about what's our objective. Like, we're just doing mission after mission after mission. We're occupying a place, we're clearing it, and then we're turning it back over. 6 months later, we're going back to that. You're just making the rounds around, the suburban areas. And they start asking the right questions, like, what is my objective? You want me to secure this place? Get out of my way and let me do my job.
Mhm.
Or it's no, stand down, don't do that. So all the problems that we kind of see in the world are, I think, quite simply solvable if you take the action to do it. Comes back to that question. What you and I want to solve is not what other people potentially that are in power really want to solve. And our politic system needs a little bit of revamping. And we're starting
Yeah.
to see the Department of War clean house a little bit with removing some toxic leadership, which is completely bad from any organization. Toxic leadership is it's not good for anything. And so we
Mhm.
see a little bit of cleansing going on. But of course, you're going to have personal biases of putting friends in places because it's human nature, right? If you had to hire somebody to come help you with podcasting, hire a complete stranger or hire somebody you've worked with before and your natural
True.
tendency is going to do that. And we talk about this when people are wanting to get a new job or a new career. We talk about CIA tradecraft skills of mirroring. people and building this invisible rapport right away with you to where you find a likeness and you don't even know that you do it, but you find a likeness to me. I could be completely lying about the subject too, but you don't know, and you develop this likeness for me. Everybody on the resume has the skill sets that you're looking for, but the person that gets the job is the person that has that connection with the person with the hiring manager. And so we see this in hiring, people at Department of War, at federal agencies, appointing people that they know or they think that they trust, as opposed to pressure testing those people and seeing if they actually have the background and skill set to do the job. And then a lot of people get in those positions and they don't want to relinquish him. So they'll, you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That
Wow.
outweighs what's for the better good of the human population. And I wish everybody could go back and study John F. Kennedy about the way he ran the country. Like,
Yeah.
that man was a
Yeah.
patriot for the people of the world, not just the United States of America. And we see what happened to him.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, he was not a fan of other countries or other people kind of have their hands in the cookie jar. You know what I mean? He didn't like that at all.
No,
He was a for the people, and he wanted to do the right thing. And as Abraham Lincoln also was, they want to do right for the people. And like always, they're always killing the good guy.
yeah. So where does the person come with that, right? From
Hmm.
their upbringing, from their community, their culture, the way their parents raise them, teach them, speak to them, the manners of husband, the way the wife conducts, like all those things children are learning growing up. And back to your earlier point about television, well, now we see very certain things on television that are true moral and ethics go, that's not right. So you and I turn the television off. Other people continue to say, oh, yeah, let's push this, and preach it. Look at DEI, diversity. What was that? Diversity, inclusion. What was the E? Equality.
Uh,
Yeah,
inequality. Yeah.
equality and inclusion. That was a big thing that hit all the aerospace defense companies. People were starting to put their pronouns under their signature, and I just
Yeah.
refused to do it. I said, who I physically attracted to is none of your business. I'm a male. I go by he, him, sir, my name. Let's start with that. Making up all these other things to not hurt people's feelings, mate, fuck off. Like, I'm gonna hurt your feelings, and that's your problem. I'm not gonna intentionally hurt your feelings because that would be bad moral and ethics of me. But you better toughen up a little bit. And I heard Eric Prince once say about countries ebbing and flowing, and we go through cycles. And he said a quote that I'm probably going to mess up, but he essentially said that um, hard time, sorry, easy times make easy men, and hard times make hard men. And that's what we see back in the Korean War, World War One. The guys didn't have North Face and Marmite gear out there. They were freezing to death in the snow, wet, cold, eating poor food, and they still did their job. You try to get some high school kid right now to give up his football team and to go overseas and go into combat, it's a little bit difficult to find good quality young men nowadays.
Yeah, and we ran through that problem in the Biden era. I mean, it was the lowest recruiting numbers in many, many, many years,
Yeah.
and it took like a new leadership and new focus to kind of like bring those number back to where it was before that, and that's what happened with DEI. DEI kind of destroyed the fabric of the meritocracy pretty much because a lot of people when a lot of companies I would say went belly up once they adopted like Bud Light and other even Starbucks, they went kind of like belly up. They had to close stores
Yeah.
because once you have that those type of ideology and practices, you kind of shoot yourself in the foot, like pretty much. Like you kind of you bend the knee to wokeism, and pretty much you have to do what they tell you, or they're gonna boycott you, destroy you. That's what they do. They just destroy, burn, and character assassination, I would say,
Yeah,
for your company.
100%. And it takes strong people, strong-willed people to stand up and go, "Hey, this isn't right, and I'm gonna stand my ground."
Hmm.
One person, you're gonna get steamrolled. We need a community, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people to stand up and stand their ground. And one of my white papers I did at work about DEI, because they asked me to be on one of the panels, and I said, "Sure, I would love to be on one of these panels. You guys are going to kick me off quite soon." So I went through an interview process and they're like, "Yeah, you're not the guy because you're not going to play games." I said, "Well, I want you to hear me out. In the military, DEI is a real thing. We don't use the term DEI. We understand when we go to boot camp that there is, I grew up in a really small town in the 70s and 80s in Indiana. I had two black children in my high school of 1,200 and some people, two black children. 20 miles down or 20 minutes down the road was a black community, but we were just not in the same area. So when I went to boot camp, Asians, Indians, black kids, I was like, wow, this is amazing. That's diversity. It brings different cultures together. And what's the military do? They put you in the same uniform. They shave everyone's head. They give you the same food, same living quarters, but they exploit our diversity. We're all included because we get the same uniform, same haircuts, but they want that diversity. We just didn't approach it back then in a woke sense for ulterior motives. Like we absolutely 100% need diversity. We need to include not everyone. You need to include capable human beings that are in alignment with your mission. But the whole woke movement is what the problem was with DI.
Hmm.
DEI. It wasn't for the benefits; it was for some ulterior motive. And now we're starting to see the shooting in the foot results.
Yeah, yeah, we see Black Lives Matter kind of scam a lot of people.
Dude, white lives matter, Mexican lives matter, yellow skin matters. Why don't we see all those flags around?
Oh yeah. Oh, it's racist. If you say white life matter, oh my God, you're doomed. You are done. Like
Yeah.
remember, I don't know if you've seen it. It kind of funny fact, but remember when they have these family of black people that bought like 40 acres of land and everybody were praising on them. It happened social media like a couple years ago. We got this family. It's like a four or five families of just black family uh, Americans, and they just bought 40 acres or more of land to
Mm,
create their own community. And everybody were praising them. Everybody were happy for them. And
yeah.
then a couple months ago, I believe the beginning of the year or last year, a couple of white people did the same thing,
Mm,
and they will receive criticism from every race.
yeah.
They're just
Well,
white nationalists. They're KKK, and I'm like, not too long ago, that happened backwards, the other way around. Nobody say nothing. But if a white person do it, it is wrong, and that's why a lot of people being propagandized so much, and it's crazy when somebody brought it up, all the yapping stopped because they realized they were just
oh yeah, shooting themselves.
hypocrites.
And
Yeah, they were hypocrites. So it's
you know,
crazy how people are like propagandized so fast online right now.
yeah, one of my pet peeves is government forms, ID cards, resume applications. They all ask for your nationality.
Hmm.
What the f does that have to do with it? Like, stop indoctrinating my children from an early age of every form they have to fill out. They have to pick white, Caucasian, black, Latino. It doesn't matter. If you want to do demographics of your community, you can do a survey just to see what kind of nationalities are predominant in certain locations. It might help with infrastructure, building certain religion, putting certain foods in that area because of their culture, like, that's fine. But every single form has
Right.
that on there. And that is indoctrinating children, either by intent or unintentionally, indoctrinating them that they have to identify themselves as I'm white.
Mm.
What's it matter what the color of my skin is? Like it goes back to I'm from planet Earth and I'm a human being. Like I want
Right.
to do good. I want to add value to the world, to my community. Doesn't matter what my skin tone is. So anybody that brings up, to me, starts talking about the color of somebody's skin and they get better or they get worse, like, mate, I can't have a conversation with you. I can't
Mhm.
win a conversation with a dumb person. That's for sure. I'll lose every time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is funny that you said it. It is very important because I would just have one question in there: Are you citizens or you're not? Simple as that.
Mhm. Yeah,
That would be kind of like simple. Are you citizen or not?
yeah. And if
And we're
they're
gonna
not,
verify anyway, but we're gonna ask you. But
yeah, you can
that should
apply.
be it.
Yeah, it's not
That
hard, man.
should that should be. If people go crazy on these ideologies, they just observe like nowadays. They just listen to these people talking about inequality and and now people don't have money. I'm like, you are like in the greatest, most powerful country in the planet. Like you could make your dreams come through here. Try that in Cuba. Like go to Venezuela. Try that in Cuba. Go to let's say another country. Go to
Try to get some
China.
creative and do it. Yeah, good
Go to
luck.
North Korea. Just go ahead, try it over there. I guarantee you, they wanna they they would be begging to come back like in 2 days. In two
So
days.
you say that, and you can look around at all your friends that are not naturalized citizens of the United States of America. I've yet to meet one of them that has talked crap about this country. When they've come from another country or their parents came from another country and then raised them up, they worship this place. They're like, you have
Mhm.
no idea how good you have it. We understand because we spend our lives traveling around the world to different cultures. And I understand the prosperity potential that we have here. But it comes back down to people taking action, and it's something that at Everyday Spy, we do a lot of training on the perception, the perspective of being able to read the news, read the people, and understand what their motives are. Because most of the time, it's to get me to look over here and do something while something else that's more important is over here. So if I can deflect your focus, I can get away with signing these laws, pushing this bill through, and then it's law. Now we get to follow it. And we're trying to make people or help people become aware that this is a real thing. We use it in tradecraft skills every day around the world for national security reasons. And why not use it in your own personal everyday life?
That's
Become
a
a bit
good point.
more aware.
That's a good point. And I will link everything in the description down below so you can join and you get the course and kind of I looked through it and look very interesting. So it is easy to navigate the website. So
Yeah.
I will link it on the description or to click the QR code somewhere around here that I will put it. Just scan it with your phone. If you look at this on the TV, scan it with your phone, look through it. Very simple to
Yeah,
navigate.
I think it's a 10 question test,
Right.
little spy quiz test, takes like 2 minutes that kind of tailors which courses, based off your responses on what you want to focus on. But one of the great things is that the CIA triangle about health, wealth, and relationships, those three things, your health, your wealth, and your relationships with work, people, doesn't matter, everything in the world comes back to one of those 3 points, if not all three of those. And so we focus on how we make relationships, how we utilize relationships, how wealth works. And it's just a phenomenal way to look at a different perspective on how to look at what's happening around the world, from everything that pops up on your phone to the news to just being observant in your own surrounding. Because if we can't take care of ourselves and become aware as a person and then pass that on to our children, that evolution is going to continue to stall or go
Mm.
backwards. Actually.
Yeah, absolutely. I have trust issue with my phones nowadays. My phone is just I cannot trust my phone anymore. It's just like if I say something with my wife and I just and I leave my phone on the side, all of a sudden I grab my phone and whatever we were talking about, let's say we were talking about buying a new house or moving to a different country, man, I just get in ads of like plane
One,
tickets or hotels and into that place. And I'm like, you know what? The next time I will turn my phone off. And probably they're still hearing what I'm saying, but it is crazy how technology evolved and these, I would say, the Palantir,
oh,
the all seeing eye and
oh my,
Project Pegasus and all that stuff is crazy.
It's everywhere.
Uh,
There's
it's
a
everywhere.
not to mention his name again, but I think it was on the same podcast I was listening to with Eric Prince. He said, and I'll only say what he said in the video. I think it was with Sean Ryan. He said that he and his wife had had a heated conversation at a certain point,
Hmm.
and then over the next couple of days, I think it was his wife's phone. She started getting, it could have been his phone, but one of their phones started getting adverts for divorce lawyers. And they were like, this is pattern recognition, awareness, which they have. Like, this is off nominal. Like, what is going on to this? So
Hmm.
he researched into that and went, oh my God, they heard the conversation, whoever they are, heard the conversation and now started advertising that. And he walked into his one of his workshops and told all the crew that he had there, he goes, stop what we're working on. We're putting this project on hold. We're now going to develop a phone. And they spent months developing a secure phone. And I believe he has released that now, all because of, you call it the eye, Big Brother, the
Right.
monitor. Like, and some people will argue that, "Oh, that's all right. Like, I've got nothing to hide." Like, cool, mate. It's not that I'm hiding something. It's that that data is being used. For an
Mm.
example, I was talking to a insurance lady, well positioned in a well known insurance company around the United States of America, and she told me that they purchase your data information that is getting sold to whoever wants to buy it, and that the insurance company runs an algorithm on the data that they provide to adjust your insurance rates for your vehicle or your home. And I said, I'm sorry, if I take another person that's 51 years old, same vehicle as me, same driving, identical, but we have two different areas that we live in. I like hunting and shooting, and they like, rainbows and unicorns. I said, you're going to tell me based off statistics, we're going to get two different rates? She said, 100%. I said, mate,
Wow.
I don't want people using that because here comes the deal then. I'm happy to tell anybody I love surfing, I love enduro riding, I like a lot of outdoor activities. I love my children like there's nothing else in the world. But if you're going to use that for your advantage against me, then I have an issue with you having that information, right? Like, I don't mind you
Wow.
having the information, but don't use it for, because it goes back to that. It's no longer a mutually beneficial agreement, right?
Hmm.
And unfortunately, the people that do say, I got nothing to hide, they can collect whatever they want. Sure. If they're only using it for national security reasons, but it's well known, it's open source information that is being used against you, not for your interests, not for your benefit, not solely for your benefit. And that's where the moral and ethical line gets crossed. And it takes hard people, capable, strong, to stand up and draw a line in the sand.
Man, that's kind of tied to the grocery stores nowadays. They have the little digital prices in there, and it has a little camera. And basically, it has the that's what they say. They had the technology to kind of scan your face and
Mhm.
change the price of that article depending on who you are.
They
So if you
plain
want to buy a can of beans and it's $1 for you, and if I go 2 hours later, they might be like, "Hey, now it's $1.50." Whatever exchange,
yeah,
whatever they want to do. It's kind of the same system, and we kind of becoming China little by little. You know what I mean?
not little by little, big chunks by big chunks. And it's hard to stop those chunks from rolling once they get momentum.
Mm. That's why the databases built everywhere. Those are databases are crazy big, and I dropped my son off to Montana a couple of weeks ago, and we were driving. We drove to Montana from Texas to Montana. It took like 3 days, and
I think so, man.
yeah, took like 3 days. A pretty good ride. Don't get me wrong, and I enjoyed it. But we stumbled upon at least three data center on the way up there.
Hmm.
And I think once the first one that we dropped by was in Lubbock, Texas, near Lubbock, Texas. They were
Okay.
building a huge data center.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. I mean, it was massive. If you think Amazon warehouses are huge, that
Mhm.
was those data center are probably twice as big. It's humongous. and they have like probably about 40 acres, nothing but a solar panels to power those,
They
whatever.
they consume so much
I
power.
know.
You also need the
It's
cooling
crazy.
efficiency for the machines, right? Like the amount of power the data center takes is phenomenal. It's one of the reasons that they're out in isolated rural areas
Hmm.
because of the infrastructure that's needed. You put one of those in an urban area,
Oh,
mate, all that electricity is already being allocated for something, and so it disrupts your grid, and you can't build the grid properly fast enough. So you go out
mhm.
to a remote land space area and do it. And the three that you saw, those are just the ones that were visible to you.
Right. I
Yeah.
know. I know. And they were like in the middle of nowhere. Like we were driving like at least 20 minutes. There were nothing but like
Mhm.
tumbleweeds and
Yeah.
grass, whatever, and hay. And then just like all of a sudden, boom, a data center, like in the middle of nowhere. And then the next time was like 20 minutes later. It was like in between just rural farm planes. There were nothing out in like visible for miles and miles, and that was crazy to see. Never seen one close enough, but that one was like a shocking and how big it was.
They're
So
massive.
it is, and this everything just kind of come together like the all seeing eyes. You got program Project Pegasus. They watch everybody phone, and they even tap your phone and the camera does not turn on, but they still see you, they're still hearing what you do.
Yeah.
So and you probably seen this picture of Bibi Netanyahu that has like tape on his
Yeah.
camera.
Yeah.
So and that was like, man, that if they have tape on their camera
The,
and they probably have an encrypted phone, what they could do to this one, you know what I mean? So
yeah. Did you
it's
ever see
crazy.
that screen clip of Mark Zuckerberg on his laptop? He's facing his laptop, and somebody had snapped a picture on his laptop. He had taped over the camera screen, and people started going, "Hey, what's Mark Zuckerberg taping over his camera screen for?" Right? Like, okay, cool. You want to watch us, but
You guys can
use the
see it.
information
It is
responsibility.
crazy. Wow. Very scary. Like powerful people they have to do that to their equipment and they have billions of dollars and a lot of people are like monitor like what you do and what you don't.
Mhm.
It's it's
So if you want
crazy.
to become more aware of how to protect yourself, or at least see what's actually happening, pop over and take that Everyday Spy quiz.
I highly encourage people to do it. I will link it everything down below. Don't so get a course, learn something new, which is I always encourage people to do. Learn something new out of your wheelhouse. And I would tell my son every time, like, if you have an opportunity to learn something that you didn't know yesterday, take advantage of it. Because
Oh, that's great advice for everyone.
yeah, at the end of the day, like my dad told me, at the end of the day, the more you know, the more money you save. And he was right.
Man, isn't that the truth? I sure blew a lot of money when I was young. That's for sure.
That's my dad never went to college, and he was a high school drop off and dropout, and but his wisdom was like I didn't know because I was young and stupid when I was young. I always listened to him, but you get to a point in your youth that you like you know everything, but you don't know
Of course.
shit.
Of course.
So, but I listened to him, and he was a welder by trade, and he told me that he's like, look what I do but do not take this as a profession. Just do it for yourself so you can learn. So you
Yeah.
don't have to pay. So you have to do it to yourself and you don't pay money. And I was
Yeah.
like, man, I don't why he's always napping or yapping about it. So and I
Yeah.
took that to heart and I learned a little bit of plumbing, electrician, welding, and whatever. And now that I grown and I have my family and I have a home, like, man,
It's all
I do a
paying
lot
off.
of yeah, it's fair enough. I don't have to call people. I know my limitations. So when something's out of my wheelhouse, I'll be like, you know what? I'm gonna pay this because I know I'm gonna ruin it.
That's
So
an
if
excellent observation about yourself. It's one of the things we preach about. It's not just about knowing knowledge and being 1% better every day.
mhm.
Know your limitations. Too many people think, oh, if somebody breaks into my house, I can take care of them. I got a baseball bat or a shotgun. Mate, when was the last time you've been in a physical altercation with a violent criminal? It's probably not the first time they broke into somebody's house. It's definitely not the
Mm,
first fight they've been in, and you think you're going to rise to the occasion. So it's okay to identify your limitations, because once I know where that limitation is, if I want to push it further away, I can do like you did. Go learn knowledge, go learn skill sets, push that limit. The limit is always there. Just push it further away. Or to your point, accept the limitation that this is outside of my wheelhouse or my time, because my time is worth more doing this over here, and pay a skilled person that's their profession and let them do it. You don't have to try to solve every single problem yourself. And I think a lot of Americans try to do that, that they're independent, they're responsible for themselves, and then they go, oh my gosh, this is a lot. I think our ancestors, if a man tried to live in the wild by himself, I think his age was like average 36, 37 years old, because it takes a toll on you have to do everything yourself.
mhm.
Cook, clean, find food, process food, clothing, shelter, go down the list, everything. Another issue with America, everything is so convenient. Go down, with the exception of maybe where you and I are at, go 5 minutes. There's a coffee shop, there's a grocery store. You can literally shop for your food every single day. You don't have to
Right.
stockpile food until the system collapses. And you better have made a decision on how you're going to get your supplies before the event actually occurs. Sorry.
Man, that
Go
would
down
be a
the rabbit
nice that would be a great conversation to have with you. Like, what if everything collapsed tomorrow? What will you do? Where are your options to survive? And but we're gonna leave that to another conversation
I'll
with
reach
Trevor.
out to
Trevor,
you about that. We have
yeah,
a everyday war course that we're going to release that is about the emergency disaster planning, particularly about the decisions and the judgment making process, as opposed to just follow a checklist and go get X amount of water. Cool, I got water. No, no. We need to talk about scenarios and decision making processes before the event happens.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's man, let's schedule that conversation because that's a lot of stuff that we that it is comprised in one topic. It's a lot of angles and a lot of uh, underlining process that you have to do. It's like different stuff. It's a bunch of stuff in preparation. But I would like to schedule that with you for another day. Whenever you have availability, let me know because I would like to talk to you about it because that would be a great topic. And I'm kind of a prepper and as a deep in my heart, I'm always prepping. I'm always overthinking stuff. But I guess it's just in my nature as a provider for my family. It's not like I don't live in La La Land. I recognize everything could collapse tomorrow,
Yep.
but sometimes it just like it's not matter of uh if or not going to happen, it matter of when it's going to happen. So
Yep.
it
And have a plan for when it does. And
and
hopefully in your lifetime, our lifetime, it never does. But you said it, as a parent, particularly, you have to be prepared.
you have
Prepping gets a bad rap on the internet, preppers, until it happens. And then you're like, hey, can I have some of your supplies? So I kind of want to change that view of prepping. Just be prepared. Like, are you prepared to go to work in the morning? Are you naked? Unless you're a stripper, you're not prepared. Go put some clothes on. Right? Get prepared, my man. Like,
I
don't
know.
wait for the event to happen. Right? So I appreciate the conversation, man.
Man, I appreciate it, man. It was truly an honor. I never thought that we were gonna be talking about a lot of stuff that we kind of like not mirroring each other,
All
but
of
it just like
I'm
I
happy to.
just love this.
I'll
I just
talk all.
love this conversation. It just like if we go to the rabbit hole of what if, I mean, we
Mhm.
probably never end this conversation. We'll probably be here for hours, but I would like to schedule a conversation with you so we can just touch on that, like preparation. What if the shit hit the fan? What are your next steps? Because it's a lot of stuff to take in, like from preparation, movement, location, uh, and security, foremost is security and your
Right.
location because everybody locations are different,
Mhm.
and that's why just before we end it, that's why I didn't opt to live in downtown because I'm always like thinking of my way out. I guess it's just a nature of in my life. It's just like, what if something happened? I need to get out of here. That's why we move away about an hour from the city. So
Mhm.
If it's something happen, I have a buffer. Like I have a little bit
Yep.
of time to move out. If it's
Distance by
something happen.
absolutely. Yeah, we'll have a
Yeah.
good conversation with that.
All right, Trevor. Thank you so much, guys. If you like this episode, please like and subscribe. I will link everything again down below, or hit the QR code right here. Scan it in your phone so you can go and take that course. As always, thank you so much. God bless you guys, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care and goodbye.
Appreciate it, man. Take care.
All right.